We live in a world shaped not just by actions, but by invisible currents. The smiles in boardrooms, the carefully chosen words of politicians, the unspoken tensions between friends, the quiet compromises within relationships. Everywhere, there are games being played. Not games of entertainment, but games of power. At first glance, influence seems harmless, even natural. It is simply the act of persuading, of guiding, of convincing. But beneath it lies something more complicated, something darker. Because influence, at its core, is not neutral, it is power. And power, no matter how benevolent it appears, always casts a shadow. We like to imagine ourselves as independent thinkers. We tell ourselves our choices are our own, that our desires are original, that we are free. But the truth is more uncomfortable. Influence works not by forcing us, but by shaping the frame of our decisions. It does not push us directly, it bends the path, so we walk willingly in the direction it intends. The illusion of choice remains intact, but the boundaries of that choice have been quietly drawn by someone else. This is why influence is so dangerous, because it disguises itself. It doesn't announce its presence, it whispers. And in that whisper, it redefines what we believe to be our own thoughts. Power rarely arrives as brute force. It doesn't need to. It dresses itself in subtle disguises. In politics, power wears the mask of noble rhetoric. In business, it hides beneath the language of strategy and growth. In relationships, it slips into affection, guilt, or silence. Niccolò Machiavelli once said, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." But the greatest players of influence do not make that choice at all. They find ways to appear as love while quietly operating as fear. Think of the moments in life when you felt persuaded without realizing it. A story so well framed that you accepted it without question. A silence so heavy that you revealed more than you meant to. A choice presented so neatly that you believed you had freedom, yet whichever path you took, someone else benefited. Or the promise of approval, affection, or validation, given sparingly, withheld strategically until you complied. Influence rarely attacks the surface. It goes deeper. It finds the softest parts of human nature, our desire to belong, our fear of rejection, our longing for meaning, and it bends them toward its own ends. That is the dark side of influence. It works not against our nature, but through it. But the unsettling truth is this: the dark side is not just out there, it lives within us too. Every time you hold back your real thoughts to keep the peace, you are playing the game. Every time you exaggerate your charm to get what you want, you are playing the game. Every time you withhold the full truth to protect yourself, you are playing the game. Influence is not the property of politicians, corporations, or leaders. It is the unspoken language of human interaction itself. The question is not whether we play it, the question is whether we are aware of the role we are playing. The paradox is clear. Those who refuse to see influence are the most vulnerable to it. History is filled with examples. Entire societies swept under the spell of charismatic leaders. Crowds manipulated into obedience. Families trapped in cycles of subtle abuse. Individuals persuaded to trade their freedom for the illusion of safety. Ignorance is not innocence, it is permission. To be unaware of influence is to be silently ruled by it. So what can we do? How do we escape these invisible games? The truth is, we can't fully escape them. Influence will always exist. The question is not whether it shapes us, but whether we recognize it. Awareness begins with watching yourself. The moment you feel pulled, ask why. The moment you feel persuaded, ask by what. The moment you feel certain, ask whose certainty it really is. And beyond self-defense, there's a deeper question. If influence is inevitable, how will you use it? To dominate or to elevate? To manipulate or to inspire? Because the tools are the same, the only difference is intention. In the end, influence is a mirror. It reflects both the best and worst of human nature. The hunger to control, but also the ability to inspire. the instinct to manipulate, but also the power to create movements that unite. The terrible paradox is that influence will always remain. It will always be used. The only question is whether it will serve as a weapon or a light. So perhaps the most important question is not, are you being influenced? But rather, do you see the game you are already in?